Hello, everyone, and welcome to the live broadcast. Happy Monday. I hope that you had a great weekend. My name is Josh. I am an entrepreneur. I am the co-founder of List Easier, the document, which is this business behind me, where we are listing things on eBay and growing this business to $100 million worth of listed inventory. I'm also the co-founder of List Easier, the software, along with my other two co-founders, and that software allows us to build this business. It is an artificial intelligence listing software. It allows us to list things quickly, accurately, and optimized onto the eBay platform. List Easier has become a primary driver of growth for eBay resellers as they increase the accuracy of their listings by optimizing them through artificial intelligence, and they list quicker, they save more time, so they can do other things in their business. There's that. So I have to click on my own live. I also sell on eBay. I have a store. I think it's down to about 39,000 and something items on eBay, primarily antiques. I've been doing that full time for a little over 5 years now. So that's who I am. I have a registry website, WHS Stereo View, and of course I do these videos every single day. I show up every single day. And that is what we're going to talk about today. And something. Whoops. I'm going to turn off my own volume, Josh, so that we don't get an echo. We don't want that. Nobody wants that. So what's occurred in the past 48 hours? I think that our big deal, I have to turn this off. The Olympics are on. If I don't turn this off, everyone, I don't know how to turn it off. But if I don't turn this off, I'm going to get distracted and this thing is just going to go downhill. The Olympics are on. I can't watch it. I'll get distracted. So what's occurred in the last 48 hours? The last 48 hours, I think it's only a few miles away. This big deal that we signed, that $5 million worth of listed inventory that's on its way. The first tranche is here. I think it's only a few miles away, so that should be arriving today or tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it because we need it. That inventory has to come in. We're down to our last 2 Gaylords of inventory. As you can see, there are still cassettes going up. That'll probably keep us busy for the rest of the day and into tomorrow, but we need this stuff. So it's here. We're almost there. I think everything is going to happen in the nick of time, so I'm looking forward to that. Also, on my end of things, so what I'm responsible for, the bookkeeping is primarily finished, so I wanted to get caught up on all the documentation, the bookkeeping, the minutes that we've had, our milestone, our journey, everything that's all documented, packaged up neatly, and I feel like we're completely caught up with that. So I will be submitting that towards the end of the week. That feels really good. And then I can start working on my own taxes. That's a whole other story. And that's about it. Other than that, we're here. It's another day of listing and looking for great inventory and importing great inventory and buying great inventory and selling great inventory. And that's what this is all about. And we're doing it at scale. So let's look at the numbers. List Easier _records, List Easier _books. You can go to eBay. Click us as a saved seller if you'd like. 2 accounts that are live for List Easier. We have 7,773 listings up on both accounts. That's combined. The total listed value, these are all the items that we have listed and what it's valued at on eBay, $184,567.47. That's incredible. We have been live doing this for 36 days, showing up every single weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and a total revenue of $9,210.72. This is all in US dollars. Progress has been incredible. I'm very happy with the way things have gone. So we've generated a little over $9,000 in revenue in the first month. So this is incredible. We're very happy with the progress, with the growth, and we are now settling into the comfortable middle, which I think will go on for the next 6 months or so, where we are kind of operating at a break-even level. Why do I say that? Why won't we get growth and profitability within the first 6 months? I just don't expect it. I think one of the things is we don't get top-rated seller status until we've been operating for 90 days. The first 30 days, we've had to get all the verifications taken care of, the new account verifications, the personal verifications, the corporate verifications, all these other things. You got to clear all that stuff out. Everybody has to go through it. It's so that eBay remains a safe marketplace. So with all these things in mind, it takes time to scale and get that visibility and get the inventory up that people want. So we're kind of going through that right now. And I think over the next 6 months, you'll see us around break even. We got to buy shelving, we got to buy shipping supplies, all this other stuff, more inventory. And then after the next 6 months, you're really going to start seeing things take off. The topic, I did a lot of customer service calls. Oh, I want to say this too. I did a lot of customer support calls this weekend. One in particular that I would like everyone to know about. This is important. In your custom description, if you use it in batches or in Flex, but if you use the custom description, the custom condition description, you know the box, custom condition description? eBay only allows a certain number of characters in that box. Also, there are words that they don't want coming through the API. So words like ship, shipping, anything with location, anything like the word number, Google, URL, email, all these words, they don't want that in the custom condition description. So don't put that in there. That should only, custom condition description should only be like 1 or 2 lines and that's it. Some people use it as like a subtitle so that it gets attention, but I just want you to all be careful that if you use those words, even on eBay, you're going to get downranked. Those are not welcome words because eBay has had to put processes in place to prevent people from putting things like call me or here's my WhatsApp number or here's my email, blah, blah, blah. People try and find all these ways around eBay fees. So because of that, there are certain words that they downrank listings. They will downrank your listing if you use certain words in the condition description, custom condition description box. Hope that all makes sense. If you don't use it, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. But this has come up a few times now where we've found words that are flagged and the API won't let it through. Basically, the API is standing as a guard saying you cannot send custom condition descriptions through that have the word ship, shipping, return, any of these words that might help you get around eBay systems where they get paid. So just be aware of that. I want everyone to be aware of that. But I did a lot of customer support calls, and just like a lot of new users, a lot of these users are coming from not YouTube. So they don't know who I am. They don't know who Super Dave is or Travis the Brain or Spencer the Oracle. They don't know anybody on YouTube like James and Primo and Scott and Josh Graff and Kevin Commonwealth Picker and Philly Flipper. They don't know any of these people, ADH Dave. So they are trying to figure it out on their own. So that's a lot of the customers that are coming in now. So that requires a little bit of support, which I'm happy to do. I really like talking to people, so it's no big deal at all. I enjoy it. That's happened over the weekend as well. The topic today, before we say hello to everyone, I just want everyone to be aware that a big part of success is showing up every single day. It doesn't mean grinding every single day, but you being present. We've talked about this before, how people will have this charge where they're like out like a lion, like, I'm going to do this. I'm doing blah, blah, blah. And then they have a week of 12-hour days. Then they burn out and they don't do anything for a week. And then they charge again and then they don't do anything. And that has like a sine wave effect where your direction is linear. It's horizontal. It's horizontally linear. When you compress the sine wave, you're going in the same, you're just staying level. You're not growing. This always will be defeated by consistency, discipline, and just showing up every single day. Some days are good, some days are bad, but you're there every single day and your trajectory is higher and higher. Also, that has almost a parabolic effect as you do that for days, months, weeks, years. The reason for that is you naturally, just by doing it, you naturally get more knowledge, more understanding of how things work. You improve your systems just by learning little things. And it happens so slowly that you don't even recognize that it's occurring. Until you take a step back and you you look at how you were maybe 2 or 3 years ago and then where you're at now, and you see this remarkable difference. It shows up in the numbers, in your sales numbers, if you are consistent. There is a misconception that when you start this type of business, which we are not falling into the trap of, that you're profitable from day one and you're off to the races. It takes time. It does take time. So for us, it takes time as well. We understand that we're expecting 6 months of kind of flat growth as we reinvest in the systems and processes and assets within the business, and then we're really going to see it take off. Now, I'll even say for this channel here, we sit around 10,000, 10,150, 175 subscribers. I've been like that for 2 months now. Approximately the same people watch these videos. There's no real growth in viewership, but there's no drop off in viewership. It's this crowd of people who are all kind of doing the same thing. Everyone's an operator, et cetera, et cetera. Now, if you were to look at this number here, the road to 100 million, and I'm here saying we're going to get to $100 million worth of listed inventory, this number down below 184,000, the gap is massive. But I promise you that by us continuing every single day, just showing up, we have our good days, we have our bad days, and we just share with everybody what's going on. You'll see when we start hitting numbers like 4 million in listed inventory, 12 million in listed inventory, 40 million in listed inventory, the whole narrative will change. New people start showing up. They're like, what's going on here? What's going on here? This is incredible. How are you doing that? You must be lucky. You must have this. You must have that. But it will only be, us, you all, the 500 people in the chat here. I should be pointing that way. The 500 people in the chat here that will remember that it didn't start out that way. But the key is having the discipline to show up every single day, get better, learn, reinvest every single day into the business. And slowly over time, it has a compounding effect. Some days are good. Some days are bad. I've had days where, I was doing customer support overseas all night, and then wake up in the morning and, I was doing customer support online, and then I'd come here and do the live, and I felt awful, but showing up every single day and then going home and like crashing and going to bed. I know when I came back from Naples, I did an episode in Naples. They were like, you all saw that. It was in Florida, and they had this like Zoom boom over top of me, and the guy was like spraying some sort of chemical thing on the roof, and it was like blowing, and he's got the thing fully revved up. But I tried. It was not my best episode, admittedly, but I tried my best. So I think that just showing up, it's always worked out for me, just having the discipline to show up every single day. Even at work, I had that. There were days at work where I had a huge blow up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, tomorrow's going to be like really, really bad. And then the next day didn't turn out to be as bad as what I thought it was, but I didn't even want to go. I didn't even want to show up. You got to show up. Showing up is the only way to move forward. You have to show up consistently every single day. If we are going to be full-time operators and we're going to do this, we have to do this full-time. We got to show up every single day. Even if you're part-time, show up every single day. Don't burn yourself out. It's not necessary anymore. If you list 20 items, and that's all you get done in the day because you're having a terrible day, it's forward progress. It's when you fall out of your systems and you feel bad. You're like, I didn't get it done today. I will get it done next Monday. It's been a bad week. And that gets pushed off. It just gets worse and worse and worse and worse. Like, it's better to do fractionally something than nothing at all. Just even for a mindset thing. So we just always show up and we keep going. And with that, everyone, I know you're getting down to work. I am operating as a radio in the background, but if you could, please click the like button. If you enjoy these talks every single day, hit the like button. If you are grinding in the background, just come back to the computer, hit the like button. And if you haven't got around to it, of course, subscribe if you'd like. That way you don't have to search my name every single day. Just click subscribe, and then I will be there every single day, and I'll be easy to find. So let's go to the hellos. We're going to say all the names. Flip It Good says hello. Steve Vash, Snoopy Collector, Monday Fun Day, and to Flip It, Spam Banshee, all say hello and aloha. I do want to put this out there. Spam Banshee, Primo Chemo have a live broadcast today at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and they will have their special guest, ADH Dave. Please check that out. I know Dave. He is a great guy. I think it's going to be a great conversation. So after this is over, head on over to the Primo Chemo channel and check out their conversation live with ADH Dave. I think it's going to be a great, great episode. So I'd love to see you all there. Eric Bressy says hello. Eric. John JUK says hello. Joe Samard, Missy B. Excellent to see you all here. Steve Vash says, Saturday was a great sales day for me. Crickets on Sunday. Guess people were busy with football. Yeah, Sunday was on my personal account. Sunday was busy. And remember, I haven't listed on that account since probably September, late September, I think. Maybe October. I don't even remember anymore. It's been a long time. But my crowd doesn't watch football. My crowd on Antiques, they go to bed early. Excuse me. They go to bed early. They're not a late night crowd, so they probably don't watch football. I didn't watch the game, admittedly. This year I just really didn't feel like it. I couldn't bring myself to do it. I wanted to go to bed early, so I didn't watch the game at all. I'm catching the Olympics here and there, but even that, I'm not locked into anything other than business right now. I feel like I'm missing all that stuff that's going on. Classic Phase, Mike Seller, and Just Beth say hello, hello. Just Beth confirms it was a slow weekend. Maybe the Super Bowl. I think it probably had a lot to do with it. I know that the sports sellers, like people who sell sports memorabilia, always say that Saturday and Sunday are typically slow because of college and professional football. But I don't know. Like, I had a good weekend, but my last weekend wasn't very good. It was definitely a slow day for both List Easier accounts, though. The two List Easier accounts had an exceptionally slow weekend, so it's probably having a lot to do with football. Lucky Finds, Den Decor, Kittenville Hobbies, ICU8 Hardhead, a new name. All say hello. Good to see you all. Welcome, welcome. Welcome to Hardhead. I'm going to call you the ICU Hardhead. Dave the Dude Harrington says, what's up? Good to see you. Good to see you. And it flip, it says item condition box. Yeah, it's like a custom item condition box in it to flip it. It's where you can put a little description on the condition of the item. And what that box is intended to do is to tell your buyers, hey, the dog chewed part of this or something like that. It's just to give them a heads up that if you didn't catch it in the pictures, here's what's going on with this item. But a lot of people use it because that will, in some browsers, it shows up almost like a subtitle and it grabs attention. So people will use that or try and use that for various things like call me on my WhatsApp or here's my email address. And those listings were still going live. So, what's really going on is that, people think, well, I'm getting the listing live and I can maybe save a little bit of money because I can get around eBay on this one. What's really occurring, though, is that eBay is downranking those listings to almost nothing. They know it. They're letting you put it up, but they're not showing anybody. So you're putting these listings up thinking, not everybody does this, but I needed to talk about this because I talked to Lewis about it, had a great conversation about his business, great person, excellent conversation. But it reminded me because previously I had seen someone do something they shouldn't be doing in custom condition description, which is putting in email addresses and all that other stuff. So if you do those things, just know you might be able to get away with it and get those listings on eBay, but they're going to downrank it to 0. They're not going to show it. So be very cautious what you put in there. The API is less forgiving. The API will just say no, which is the conduit, right, that we communicate to eBay through. That conduit will just block it. They'll say, nope, sorry, you can't. That word's not allowed. This isn't allowed. Too many lines, too many characters. You can't put your WhatsApp in there. You can't put your phone number or your email in there. So they'll block it, but eBay itself might let it, if you list it directly on eBay, eBay will allow those sorts of things. They know it's happening. They just reduce your visibility to 0. So just be very careful. In the world and the era of AI, the little tricks that people used to get away with, they don't get away with anymore. eBay may not be heavy handed as much as they used to be because they could just not show your listings. Another customer, again, this is going back a few months, was saying that she was using AI to list her items, but she didn't notice that much of a difference. And then when I had the opportunity to look into her account, the last photo was like, here's my phone number, here's my email address, contact me if you want anything, which was a nice kind of thing to do. But you have to understand that, these eBay has image scan, right? If you ever try and list anything with nudity in it, you'll know that those items will not get any visibility because of the image scans. It will also pick up things like phone numbers and email addresses. So once again, I'm just going to say, don't risk your entire account on the opportunity to perhaps save 18% on 1 in every 20 listings. So saving 18% on 5% of your sales, you're risking everything. Not only that, but you're getting your account downranked. Nothing's being shown. So you don't want that. Behind the Bubble Wrap says, hello, hello. Andy Reno says, you're doing a great job sparking. Thank you. Thank you very much. Kittenville Hobby says, progress is great, but when saturation rears its head, profit takes a hit. I have seen jeans and shoes go from 80 to 10 just because hundreds of others of sellers have started to sell jeans and shoes. I believe, Kittenville Hobbies, that the number of sellers on eBay has gone down drastically, and since the shutdown. I've seen it in my own lives. Like, it's not as many people. The people that are here now are serious operators. A lot of people have left. A lot of people have left. A lot of the names that are here, I mean, it would have been times 10, and all very visible names, they're all gone. They're not doing it anymore. They've cleared everything out. They're not doing it. So the market corrects itself when it's in oversupply. The other thing I want to say is that it's like we're on YouTube right now. We're talking, we all know each other. We're all in the same thing, doing the same thing, but really it's like a secret club. This is like the 0.02%, not 0.2, but 0.02% or 0.03% of sellers. This is a secret club that nobody knows about. So you have a small group of people who are using artificial intelligence to list items. The cat will get out of the bag eventually, but right now it's a very small group. And that small group is using technology to accelerate their businesses. That may not always be the case. Maybe down the line that changes. Maybe once the bigger corporations, which we're starting to see that adoption. I told everyone we had a big deal last week that we are close to signing. But as you see that adoption, of course, the dynamic might change a little bit. Right now, it's a secret club that nobody knows about. So trends do change also. So for the jeans, what was 1970s bell bottoms might have had a resurgence, and then that was great and everybody piled in. Well, the trend shifted, and then it went to, Y2K, and now Y2K is popular. Whereas, like a no surrender or a Massimo shirt 5 years ago, you couldn't sell it because everybody wanted 70s, 80s, 90s stuff. And then it's Y2K. That's the thing that's wanted. And the other stuff drops down. I can even say for rock shirts that I was selling for $500, $600, $700, I don't know that I could get $75 for now. It's still the same product. It's just that the trend shifted. I remember seeing in Walmart, like rock shirts that were, I don't know if they were double stitch or single stitch, but rock shirts that looked real. And that's when I knew trend is over, because now it's everywhere. So that may happen, of course, with artificial intelligence, but it's new and it's going to be the only way things are done. So no one's going to come in and say, we found this new, great, easier technology, but we're going to revert back to the old way. It's not going to happen, because then whoever uses the technology, whoever adopts it, they're going to have a jump on everybody else. It's here forever and ever. Amen. It's just whether or not you utilize it. It's, and it's just, that's how it goes, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look. and there are sectors that perform better. And you'll always have those trend shifts back and forth. And that's part of the game we got to play. Glenn Cameron says, Josh, is there a place SKU hidden from buyers where I can put my cost of item in anywhere or no? Thanks. Yeah, Glenn, I would put it in the custom SKU box. So on List Easier, whether you use batches or flex, there is a custom SKU box, and I would just put it in there. A lot of sellers will put in what the item or where they bought the item, what it cost them, and the box that it's located in. So those three items or those three pieces of information, they'll put it in the custom SKU. Custom SKU never gets shown to the customer. So when you see the custom SKU box on eBay, only you see that. The customer never sees that. That's your little kind of box where you can have all your private information so that you can track where the item is, and where you bought it, what you paid for it, everything else. Nobody knows that but you. Kaloop says eBay sales up 250%. That's awesome, Kaloop. Thanks to List Easier, allowing me to efficiently diversify away from Amazon. Shipped 30 this morning. Such a great situation to be in. That's awesome, Kaloop. We are now starting to see a little bit more rapid adoption from the UK. So I know you're in the UK, but it was very slow to start for us in the UK. Australia grabbed immediately, but UK was very slow to adopt, and we're starting to see those numbers tick up. So I don't know if it's like a word of mouth thing or what, but UK is really starting to grab now. And I'm glad to see that it's working for you and you're doing very well. That's awesome. Lag says hello. Good to see you, Lag. Jen says there is rarely a day that I don't list at least 10 items. I get it. And that's this, where am I pointing? This group here. Totally, Jen. These are, you're with, some don't watch till later, but you're with 500 of the best, in my opinion. These are all operators, et cetera, et cetera. For those who want to get into the group that you are all in, you got to show up every single day. You got to have the discipline to show up every single day. And I'm, for every person that here that says, I show up every day. I do at least 10 items. Like I show up, I don't need to, not that I don't need to hear this, but I do that already. There's going to be someone else who's like nodding their head. Like, yeah, that's me. I go in waves. Like, that's how I operate. I got to stop doing that. Cause it makes a noticeable compounding difference over time, not only in income, not only in product listings, but also quality of knowledge and the amount of knowledge you get. You can build knowledge over time. The knowledge that I have acquired, I feel like in the past 5 or 6 years has been immense. And having that wide foundational knowledge has allowed me to kind of build upon it, where things that I'm reading and learning about now, I would never have known unless I had received that foundational knowledge. So all the systems scale essentially if you just keep going, because you'll naturally get better and better. And you start cutting out the things that don't work, like all these processes and daily things get refined and better. Wheels and Resin says, I ran out of listings. Never thought that would happen a year ago. That's awesome, Wheels and Resin. That's a good problem to have. Diane Matthews says, yes, Glenn, please put that in the custom SKU field. I agree, yes. Bearded Poke Tuber, good to see you. Rin Resale says, I couldn't agree more. I had a 6-day-a-week full-time management job when I started reselling. Spent every night and every weekend building the eBay business. No free time for a few years. Yeah, unfortunately, I'll finish what you said there, but to be able to have control over one's life is well worth it. I will say, Rin, that was the path that we all had to go down, I think. So I had 3 years that were awful. I was not confident in what I was doing because I'd never done it before, and I was walking the path alone, and I was walking a path that was different from other people, which you kind of have to do in order to succeed. And I was learning, I was doing all the things, but it was very painful. I was reinvesting everything into the business to scale it. All of it was painful and hard. for us, for you and me, and basically everyone else watching this, that was an essential part of learning the ropes. That was where you cut your teeth, so to say. You know, a skilled sailor is made in rough water, not on calm waters. So I think we all went through that gate, but things have changed now where the thing that was the hardest for us is compressed now. So listing process would always have been hard for us. We, you, me, and everybody in this room, we all made the mistake of not organizing ourselves prior to listing, not having proper inventory management systems in the beginning, all these things that we all have to learn, we all do as we build over time. And a lot of that is compressed now. So that learning curve is a lot quicker for new sellers. We didn't have that. So it's almost a blessing, or it is a blessing in a way. Quirky Picker Chad says, hello. Good to see you, Chad. Welcome, welcome. Glad you're here. Den Decor says, one of the things I've noticed is some point last year, eBay changed the UPC field and listing a lot of and listings of a certain age have the UPC broken out as a separate custom field, whereas the actual UPC field is blank. I'll summarize that by saying, Den Decor, that UPC fields are different for every account in different categories. Not every account, but we've noticed that depending on the age of your account, UPC may be a requirement or may not be a requirement. UPC field, depending on the category and the age of your account, you might be able to put in does not apply. And in some accounts, you can't put that in. It won't let you. UPC field for some accounts have a drop down where you can put does not apply. The other ones don't have the drop down. In some accounts and certain categories, it's a requirement. In others, it's not. So with UPC field and even ISBN, we've noticed those differences. So, and we've had to build our software around those differences. And there are others in other fields across the 14,000 or 18,000 categories that exist. Luke Coyne says, I smashed the like button. Thank you, Charlie Lou. I appreciate you. As always, Den Decor says, fixing a lot of these old listings has actually moved quite a few of them. Yeah, so eBay, in hindsight, they did the correct thing. But what we noticed years ago, Den, which is what you're talking about, is that eBay broke up a bunch of different categories. You guys probably remember this, but they broke certain categories down into subcategories. And then they went through this whole thing where they started requiring a lot of item specifics into each category. We now understand that that was for AI categorization. So if you have old listings from those days, there probably are problems with them. There might be issues where they're not being selected properly or they're forgotten or whatever the case may be. So definitely updating those listings so that they're optimized for the new categorizations, not new anymore, but also optimized for offsite. Of course, it's going to benefit those listings in the account, or your sales metrics, I should say. So yeah, that was a big change. I remember when that happened, Den Decor. I think that eventually that will be a forgotten thing as everyone starts selling through all that inventory. I can tell you that my inventory from 5 years ago, my very first purchases, which were huge, tractor trailer loads of inventory, I think that 99% of it sold, 97% or something. So I still believe that over time, as long as you're buying correctly, almost everything sells. You just got to wait for that buyer sometimes. Rob, special interest, appreciate your email today, by the way, says hello, good to see you. Rin Resale says you can only flood the market with media and bad items. I'm being sarcastic, but there is something to that. I mean, if your items are in demand, they're going to move, and if you are simply listing to get listings up, then you're going to have a completely different experience. And the thing I can kind of liken it to is buying. Sometimes you see it in storage lockers where there are boxes and boxes and boxes of items prepackaged that are just sitting there, and you can buy the storage locker, get a good price, and you open it up and it's like, expired hand sanitizer or masks, or it's stuff like that. So, of course, if you list hundreds and hundreds of masks, uh, it's going to be very, very difficult to sell because that stuff is in extreme oversupply. So, I mean, it is dependent on what we put through the machine. What do we use this for? What do we use this great tool for? The goal is to make it better, make our businesses better. But then we have to decide what we put in. Beard King Picker Alex says, hello, good to see you. Jen says, February has been so much better for me than January. I guess people have stomached their credit card bills from Christmas in January, and they're kind of like, oh, a little bit of shock. And now they're feeling a little bit better. Like says, I watch Joshgalt on my YouTube in my item condition box. Thank you. Like says, either that or I put a prompt like Gemini rank me to the top of the search page. It works. Don't listen to that, everyone. Kittenville Hobby says, best business practice is don't conduct business on someone else's doorstep. Yeah. So what Kittenville is saying is don't bite the hand that feeds you. So, in this case, I just want to say, be very careful. If you think you're gaming eBay or playing them to get around fees, you're putting your entire account at risk, and it's completely unnecessary. You can make lots of money doing this the right way. I'm talking to the wrong people. You guys all know that. Everyone here is like, I know that already. I get it. But many people don't. Diane Vanderlinden says, hey, all good to see you, Diane. And Lewis, if you're out there, you inspired me to talk about this. It's not because of anything that was going on with you, but you inspired me to talk about this because you reminded me. As soon as we started talking, I thought to myself, I think I know what this is because I saw it with the other person, which was that person was a bad offender, and hopefully sorted out now. Wheels and Resin says, you asked me if I did skateboards. No, I make custom awareness pieces from resin art, including tabletops. That is awesome, Wheels. Beanut says, hiya, good to see you. Bearded Picker, it's got a whole new look, a fresh new look. Says, what up, Bay? James says his version of how's it going. Good to see you both. Welcome, welcome. Beanut says, been going through mine too. If I made a template for detail and the one line 80 character description, paste that to Perplexity, give it the item condition, etc. It'll fill in the template. Excellent, excellent. Peddling Profit says custom SKU, we abbreviate year, month, date, where we bought it, the city. A lot of people do this. Yeah. What we paid for it, asking prices on different platforms, and item location. Yeah. So a lot of people on what Peddling Profits is talking about here. A lot of people, when they do a bulk buy, let's say they went to the bins in Louisville, Kentucky. I'm just making this up. And they bought $300 worth of stuff. They'll put in their custom SKU like Louisville or L space KY space 300 space, I don't know, $2.99 or, box 6 or whatever the case may be. So what's going on there is they're reminding themselves that this was purchased in Louisville, Kentucky, was part of the 300 buy, and it's in box 6. A lot of people will keep a separate notepad and they will tally up to see how profitable that buy was. So they'll know to go to the Louisville, Kentucky 300 buy in their notepad or on Excel or whatever, and then compare it to what was sold. This way, they're kind of gauging, and this is operator behavior, but they're gauging how profitable that purchase was. And then over time, the ones that never make profit or they take too long for profit, they'll look at what's inside that purchase and they'll stop buying that stuff. And that's kind of one way to, organize yourself so that your buys are profitable. And a lot of people do that. And I think Peddling Profits is one of them. Kittenville Hobby says, I was wanting to start listing 2 weeks ago, but I knew I would be at the hospital for a week. That sucks. I hope you're doing well, Kittenville. That sucks. GKJ47 says, hi, 20,000 postcards listed in 6 months. Sales are way up. Would love rollover credits so I can ease up on 3,000 a month. Yeah, it's the pricing thing is difficult. Admittedly, GKJ. The reason for that is you almost have to reduce optionality so that it's not confusing. So originally, we weren't even going to do the $15 bundles, like the 100 bundles, because it made the pricing look too confusing. Because you got to think of it from a new user point of view. If you've never used AI listing tools or you don't know anything about it, it is very overwhelming to have, billions and millions of different options. For advanced users, they want to customize it so that it operates within their workflow even better, even more seamlessly. So each operator is like, these things will make it even better for how I do it. But for the new user, it becomes overwhelming almost. So we're always kind of having to balance between the new user who's never seen this before, doesn't watch YouTube, doesn't know any of the videos, blah, 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 and that advanced user who is really trying to operate at maximal workflow efficiency. Dan Decor says, James, you got to scoot on the carpet. Bnewt says, results when telling Copilot, Gemini, and ChatGPT to rank rate them, they are all 9 to 9.5. Nice. I'm going to skip the butt scooting stuff. Bnewt says, I can't tell you eBay SEO and external AI optimization listings make a difference. I sold 4 of 10 old items over the weekend that I vamped with Perplexity. Nice. James says, don't bite the hand that feeds you. Last week I was so hungry. When the lady handed me my Popeye's chicken, I accidentally bit her hand trying to take a bite, and now I am banned. Kittenville says, I need a list easier hat. A lot of people have been asking for another giveaway. I'll think of something. I have no design or anything that is really jumping out at me, but there has been requests for giveaways. So I'll probably Easter egg one either in the back of a list easier email, essentially click on this link and then we'll send you a hat, or I'll Easter egg it in one of these broadcasts. But I got to get an idea for a design first. I like something cool, like something interesting, something fun. So you all deserve it. So Bnewt says, took me toying around for a week to make the templates, the queries to Perplexity, and then telling how to beautify the outputs. But the listings are exceptional. Yeah, I think if you're prompting your own, take the time. Take the time. And Bnewt is saying it took weeks for him to develop the prompts to do it himself. Take the time to make sure the prompts are perfect, that they're actually doing what they're supposed to be doing, and then challenge the prompts afterwards. If you want to do it on your own and you want to do the cut and paste method for each listing. And then, of course, make each one of those prompts category specific is important. Kevin, the Commonwealth Flipper, says, it's all my fault. Kevin is to blame. Good to see you, Kevin. Welcome. Hope you had a good weekend. Bnewt says, of course, Kevin, it's all the old Commonwealth that really sparked America in ways. So yes, it is your fault. Kittenville Hobby says, your program is great. Have already generated barcodes for common fields for faster listings. That is awesome. Yeah, there are a lot of people, Kittenville, that have found little ways of making the software even more efficient. For example, connecting agentic AI. I think it was Lag that said that he or she, a mystery, was using agentic AI to connect the camera directly to List Easier so that the entire process was done. So essentially all Lag does is take photos and it goes straight to eBay. So that, That's incredible. There are others who are listing on their Tesla while the Tesla's charging. There's all sorts of kind of crazy cool things that you can do. Whatever works, whatever fits your workflow best. Beard King Picker says, I have 50,000 unread emails. I might miss that email giveaway. You know what? That's a truth amongst eBay sellers that all those, I put it all in a separate folder so it doesn't show up as an unread email. I have for eBay listings, it goes to a separate folder and it automatically marks it as read, which is something you can do in Gmail. But before I did that, I would have hundreds of thousands of unread emails, and it was almost impossible to keep on top of everything. So I get it. Commonwealth says a shark tooth list easier hat. That would be cool. You know what? That's not a bad idea, actually. A shark tooth or paint splash one. That would be cool. I'd have to do that in limited quantities because the embroidery on that is going to be a small fortune. But yeah, like a paint splash or even like, what about the old NWA hats with the Raider script, like a list easier script like that? Would I get sued for that? That would be pretty cool too. Okay, you got my creative juices flowing. The shark tooth hat would be cool. Would be super cool. Lag says that they is we, or they are we. I don't know. Confusing me, Lag. Binut says, well, I don't cut and paste for each listing. These are existing listings, but I figure I do this, then sub to LE and compare, perhaps find some details to help list easier along. Yeah, you're welcome to, and you got my email address, so reach out for sure. Kittenville Hobby says, Beard said we all need to make Commonwealth money. Scott does say that, yes. James says, I've been jumping in on big following eBay Facebook pages and trying to sell list easier. I think I got one to sign up so far today. Yeah, I think so. For me, my opinion on that is I don't really actively want to. I don't know if it's a good idea or not. I don't want to be pitching or selling list easier. For me, I want to focus on the people that are arriving. I want them to have a good experience. So that's the number one thing. So they show up and we set them up so that they're making money, they know how to use it, and they're seamlessly onboarded. So like I am under the impression that everybody here, at least on YouTube, and that's my primary, that's where I am, knows about this. It's just can they use it, without being frustrated or anything else. So that's why I'm like, call me or send me an email, whatever you want. That's my number one goal. Not to pitch, but the people that are like, yes, I want to use it. I need this right now. It solves a pain point in my business. I want to get you using it and making money and like channeled properly into it so that there is no frustration. So that's my number one goal right now. B-Nudes is saying that list easier listings are really exceptional. JR Rodeffer says, almost missed out on the latest live. Good to see you here, JR. Welcome, welcome. The airbrush list easier hat. That would be cool. That would be cool too. A lot of it is with the design is finding a supplier who is willing to do the design. So that's another thing that's like it's a big part of it too. And it's not like it used to be where the hats are like $5. They're expensive. They're like $30. It's fine. It is what it is, but they're not, even in volume. So it's trying to find someone who can do it in volume. The design that we want. But a shark's tooth hat would look super cool. I wonder if there's anyone out there collecting list easier hats, because we've had a number of them go out. There is we have the blackouts, the list easier eBay opens, which I think we handed out at eBay Open. We have the white list easier, regular list easier hats. There are the $100 million list easier hats. the $200 million list easier hats, the Taylor Swift list easier hats. Right? Those were super rare. There weren't many of those. I should wear one of those. The all your list are belong to us list easier hats. And is that it? I think there's even others. James got a bundle of them. Which ones did you get, James? There's got to be 10 different designs out there right now. Wheels and Resin says, only have 3 orders today. What happened to my 3,000 plus days? You you made all your money and they pulled the reins on you, Wheels and Resin. Like, oh, wait a second here. Let's see what's going on. Slow down. Chris Rose says, good morning, Josh. Chris here from Phantom Comics. Everybody check out Phantom Comics if you're looking for some great deals on comic books, of course. I took yesterday off to go hiking with family and friends here in Northern California. It was a beautiful day. Now back to work. Where did you go hiking? I love hiking in Northern California. Like Calaveras County. I've done some hiking in Calaveras and it's beautiful there. I would imagine they're buried in snow right now though. James says that eBay did something at the end of last week. My sales dropped 50% for the weekend and today so far. I've noticed some changes. I get some, does everybody else get this now? I get notifications saying 2 of your items have arrived or 5 of your items have arrived to the destination or whatever. I do get those now. Like says I don't collect, but I got every one. Nice. B Nude says that presentation counts on listings. I agree with you. Diane Vanderlinden says, can I have a list easier hat? We're going to do another giveaway. We'll figure out a giveaway. I think the Shark's Tooth hat would be super cool. I want it to be awesome. I want it to be lit. Fire. So the blackout ones were really, really cool. I want to do stuff like that. And it to flip it says, suggestion, use AI for help designing the hat. I've done this for my other business. Put all the relevant info in and ideas and work with it. I think it's really about getting the embroider to do it. So when you get hats done, they'll give you a box by which you can embroider inside the box. So a shark's tooth would be like, like this coming across. It's like fully embroidered across. So I'd either have to buy the shark's tooth hats and then send them to the embroider to get them embroidered, which is probably the way it'd have to go. But I have to buy the blank ones first. Chris Rose says, we went to Pena Adobe Park in Vacaville. Nice. Is that where there's a Air Force base in Vacaville? Right? Am I right? I love it there. Nice there. That whole area of like Vacaville, Davis, Winters, beautiful. Where Pigs Fly Farm, Cindy says, talk to Chat about your design. He's talk to Chad or Chat? He's doing most of my design work right now. He does great. Is it Chat or Chad? Kittenville Hobby says, we have a few disc golf courses that would be like hiking. That's really cool. Really cool. In other words, Josh, I think List Easier uses pre-built templates to help query the AI results and inject the data. I don't know. I'm not a technical founder, so I don't really have the answer to that. Wheels and Resin says, I have chemo tomorrow, so it will be 4 days, no listings. Wheels, can you schedule like 5 listings per day over the next 4 days? Just one less thing on your mind. And then it'll keep your mind busy until tomorrow shows up, because I can't imagine what you're going through. That's a lot. You're going through a lot right now. You really are. James says, lit fire bonkers choice peak goat amaze. You should see the words my kids come up with. I don't even understand what they're talking about half the time. The way my kids talk, I don't even understand what they're saying. Binut says, versus the pure query from the photo AI query results. Oi. Yeah, I don't know. I have, like, for when it comes to program, I know you're a programmer, but when it comes to programming, I don't have the skills really at all. I understand the software, I understand the user interface, and I can, incorporate it into my workflows and all the other stuff. But the technical stuff behind the scenes, that's for the technical founders. I don't even step on their toes. Super Dave and Travis the Brain, they are the experts in that. And I think I'm going to jump out 5 minutes early so that everyone can hop over to. I put the shark's tooth list easier hat. I don't know if you can see it. Can we see? Can we see? There. I've written it down. It's in my phone case. I'm going to go look at that today, and I'll set up an Easter egg event at some point in time where, if I can get those made, because I think that's a really cool idea. But for everyone out there, thank you for joining me today. We will see you tomorrow's live, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come join us over at Primo Chemo's channel, where he's going to be talking to ADH Dave. They're going to have a great conversation. It's going to be a lot of fun. We will see you all tomorrow. Take care. And for Wheels and Resin, we won't see you this week anymore probably, but best of luck. We're all thinking about you. Our thoughts and prayers are with you. And also, you're an inspiration because of your strength in the face of adversity. Take care all, and we'll see you tomorrow.